number in front of the x squared. All right. Steps factoring are still up there. Those are still important. So if you don't have them written down, you're going to want to write them down. All right. Today we're going to talk about factoring with minus signs. Could have. All right. So factoring with minus signs. How do you guys think this is different?
With the crossover.
Nope.
There's no difference at all.
There's no difference at all, except
If
Minus
they are,
signs, not plus signs.
we have to use the negative coefficient or the negative factors.
yeah.
Okay, so factoring minus signs. So we still use the 3 steps we learned yesterday that are still written over there. All right, so still use the 3 steps, except, oh, it's terrible except we use the negative factors. So you still do the same 3 steps, but now we use the negative factors. All right. So you just think about negative factors. If I have negative 12, what are the factors of negative 12? Michael?
-7. Oh, I was thinking plus. My fault. -2 and 6.
6, good. One's negative and one is positive. So what are some other ones?
6 and -2.
Oh, same thing. -6 and 2, right? Chance, you said -3, 4? Yeah. What are some other ones? -4, 3?
-1.
Okay. So those are all of our factors of -12, right?
Yep.
Now, are these 2 different factors?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. -2, 6 and -6, 2 are 2 different factors. Right? So if I'm going to have a negative number, Jared, if I'm going to have a negative number, when I have the factors, one factor is, if I have a negative number, okay, one factor is positive, the other factor is negative. Okay, that's important to remember. It's important to remember when we're talking about factoring with minus signs. All right, so example, x squared, oh, got ahead of myself. Now, when we factor with minus signs, there are 2 possible outcomes. There's 2 possible outcomes. One possible outcome is x minus m times x plus n. The other possible outcome is x minus m times x minus n. Now, before we factor, I'll be able to know which outcome I'm going to get. How do we do that? Depends on the sign on our b and the sign on our c. Okay? M times n. If I were to FOIL this, m times n would give me what term? A, b, or c? C. Right? It's going to give me my last term, right? They're my last. They give me my c term. If I have negative m times n, my c is always going to be what? Negative. So if I have something that looks like this, ax squared plus bx minus c, that means I have one negative factor, one positive factor. I could also have ax squared minus bx minus c. That also means I have one negative factor, one positive factor. The way I know is my c is negative. Right? So both of these are possible expanded forms of this. Now, if I have two negative factors, what's my c going to be? It's going to be positive. If I have 2 negative factors, what's my b always going to be? Negative. So this one will always come from an expanded form. Oops, what's that backwards? From an expanded form that looks like this. So if there's only a minus for the b and a plus for the c, then you'll have 2 negative factors. Unlike over here, if you have a negative for the c, you have 1 negative and 1 positive. Right? So based on how our equation starts out looking, we can figure out what our factors will look like. All right, that's helpful for kind of checking your answer at the end. So for this example, x squared minus 7x plus 12, which one will that be? Will it be two negatives or a negative and a positive factor? Michael? Two negatives, right? Since we have the positive 12, that looks like this one right here, which means I have two negatives. Okay. Now I said when we factor these, it's the same process, same three steps, right? Step 1, find the factors of our ax squared and our c, right? So what's the factors of x squared? X and x, right? Okay. What's the factors of 12? Michael? Negative 5 and 2. Negative 6 and negative 2. That's one set of factors. What's another set of factors? What? Negative 3, negative 4. Negative 1, negative 12 works too, right? Right? And all the positives work as well. Those are all my factors of 12, aren't they? Now I said at the beginning, since we have a negative sign, which factors we're going to focus on? The positive ones or the negative ones? The negative ones. So we're going to focus on these factors right here, the negative factors. Right? So step 1's out of the way. Step 2, we got to find the combinations of x squared's factors and 12's factors that add to negative 7, right? So I can start at the top. So we'll do x times negative 6 plus x times negative 2. What does that equal? Negative 8. Is that the same as 7? No. So let me try the next one. X times negative 3 plus x times negative 4. Yeah, there we go, negative 7x. Okay, so now step 2 is out of the way. Step 3, draw two sets of parentheses. Drop down our x terms. And then we cross over, hopefully break some ankles, right? Cross over the negative 3 and the negative 4. You guys don't like my basketball joke?
I'm a pacifist.
You're a pacifist? Okay. Hopefully we just sprayed something in your face then.
I like
How's that better? All right, so our factors are x minus 4 and x minus 3. Does that make sense, guys, how I got those? Okay. Is the process any different than what we did yesterday?
No.
No. Same general process, except now we have to worry about negative signs. Any questions? Christian? What's the point of the crossover? Good. Now for these ones, it doesn't really matter because our a factors are the same. Over here, when a is not equal to 1, then when our factors are not the same, that's when it really matters. Because in order to multiply these two together, they have to be in opposite parentheses, right? I'm going to FOIL it. So that's why I just cross them over. Good question. All right, anyone else? Now, did it fit the format that I predicted? Yeah. All right, let's try another one. We're going to do x squared. I know it's minus 12 at the end. Let me check my notes just to be sure. Oh, it's not even minus 12 at the end. Wrong one, sorry. X squared plus 5x minus 6. Okay, so let's try this one. So what's my c term, 5 or negative 6? Negative 6. Now my c is negative. So that means it should be like this, right? 1 negative, 1 positive. So when I write down my factors of negative 6, I need to have 1 negative factor, 1 positive factor. So what's a factor of 6? It's got 1 negative, 1 positive. Negative 3, 2. Negative 1, 6. Negative 2, 3. Negative 6, 1. Right? We want our middle term is 5x. So we have our factors written down, right? Now we want to see the combinations. So we do x times negative 3 plus x times 2. What does that equal? Negative 1x, right? Is that right? No. Move on to the next one. So x times negative 1 plus x times 6. Does that work? Yeah, that's 5x. So that one, that's our answer, isn't it? Yeah, works out. So now I can drop down my x's and cross over my c's. And it fits the format that we predicted, doesn't it? All right, any questions about that? Any questions? Now, what if I was working through this problem, and instead right here, instead of getting 5, let's say I did this one. I did x times negative 6 plus x times 1. What would that give me? Negative 5x, right? Is that the correct answer? No. Well, that's really close, isn't it? Okay, if you ever get one that's the opposite of what you need, what do you do with the negative signs? Switch them, right? If I ever get one that's the opposite of what I need, that means I switch these negative signs. Because negative 1, 6 worked, right?
Yep.
This one is negative 6, 1. So if I get the opposite of what I need, then I just make it so the 1 has the negative sign and the 6 is positive. Right? That's kind of a little shortcut so you can kind of jump to the right answer. Okay. Are there any questions about this? Any questions? Anybody? No? Okay. So that's why we factor with minus signs. Now we're going to move on to what Christian was talking about. He said, why do our x's matter? Well, Christian, now the crossover part with our x's, this is where it matters. Okay? Factoring when a is not 1. Now, do you guys think it's any difference than what we did before? Yeah? Slightly. It's a little different. Okay? We still use the same 3 steps. Okay, we still use those same 3 steps. So use the same 3 steps. But what's new this time? The a doesn't equal 1. So now a has factors that are not just 1, right? So we use the same 3 steps, but we need to include the factors of a. Okay? We need to include the factors of a. So for this example, ax squared plus 22x plus 15. What's my a term? 8, right? So my a's are going to be 8x squared. What's my c? 15. What's my b? What is it? 22. Okay. Now, step 1 says find the factors of a squared of ax squared and c. What are the factors of 8x squared? I know you guys are probably thinking factors of 8 and x squared, right? Remember we talked about this yesterday? We can just do the factors of 8 and then put an x with each of them, right? So Michael, what are some factors of 8? Okay, 4x and 2x. What else? 1x and 8x. Okay. We could do the negatives, but if I look up here, I only have plus signs. So should I worry about the negative factors? No. Okay, factors of 15, what are they? Okay, 1 and 15, 5 and 3. Anything else? Anything else? Decimals? Okay, we're not going to worry about decimals, right? Negatives, but they're all plus signs, right? So do we have to worry about the negatives? No. All right. So now what we do, find the combination of x squared and c that multiply to give us 22. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. Here's a little tweak. All right. Since I have two coefficients here, I won't just do each combination once. I'll look at each combination how many times? Twice. So for example, we'll try 4 times 1, 4x times 1, plus 2x times 15. 4x times 1, what's that equal? 4. 2 times 15, what's that? 30. So put them together. Why did I say 39? 34x, right? Is that right? No, we need 22x, don't we? Okay. Now this isn't the only possible way I can use these two factors. I could also flip them, and I could do 4x times 15 plus 2x times 1. Now you're probably looking at it and saying 4x times 15. That's way bigger than 22, right?
Yeah.
That's 62, Michael? No, it's not 60. It's just 60.
Well, with the 2 it'd be 62.
Oh, I got you. Okay. So with the 2, it'd be 62. Man, one step ahead of me, Michael. Nice job. All right. So with the 2, it's going to be 62x. Right? That's way bigger than 22. Now, if I look at this and I say 4x times 15, that's way bigger than 22. You don't have to do that one. You can say, okay, I know it's not going to work. Move on to the next one. So should I jump down to 1 and 8 and use that with 1 and 15, or do you think I should try 4 and 2 with 5 and 3?
4 and 2 and 5 and 3.
Okay, so let's try 4 and 2 with 5 and 3. So 4x times 5 plus 2x times 3. What's 4x times 5? 20. What's 2x times 3? 6. I was close there, but I went a little over, didn't I? It's 26x. So now what should we do?
Switch them.
Switch them. We're going to try 4x times 3 plus 2x times 5. 4x times 3 is?
12.
12. 2 times 5 is? 10. Hey, we found it. 22x. Okay? Now we got it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, chance. Okay. Now, this is where our crossover matters. Okay, this is where our crossover matters. Because I need the 4 and x. Do they have to be the same parenthesis or different? Different. So, when I write my parentheses, I still drop down my x's. And this is where I need to really cross them over. So we get 4x plus 5 and 2x plus 3. And that is our factors. Okay? So, I know this might take a while, guys. I know this might take a long time to find your factors, but it's fairly easy work, right? It's just multiplication and addition. It's something that we can do. Right? Are there any questions? Any questions? All right.